register it, but my name is Cherie Kyer-Fosnaugh, and I am a biology and anatomy teacher. I have a degree heavily based in biology and medical science, and so I've taught anatomy, physiology, and biology, and a lot of other sciences at inner city schools in Florida for many, many years, and I love teaching. So I'm really excited to get to teach you all a little bit about the lymphatic system, probiotics, and fermentation. By the end of this lesson, I will ask you to compare the lymphatic system to the circulatory system. How are they similar? I will ask you to contrast the lymphatic system from the circulatory system. How are they different? And identify some of the structures that are in the lymphatic system and why yoga is so very good for us and our lymphatic system. So bear those questions in mind while I talk and I explain to you, and then we'll come back full circle to them. Okay? So which system do you think this one is?
Circulatory.
Very good. We gave it away. So it's the circulatory system. The red would be the arteries that leave the heart, and the blue would be the veins that return deoxygenated blood from the body. So the heart pumps blood to the lungs, and it goes through increasingly smaller and smaller blood vessels in the lungs where it picks up oxygen in these tiny little capillaries, and it delivers them in these tiny little capillaries. And it's during these, when the blood goes from smaller and smaller arteries into arterioles, which are tiny, into the capillaries. The blood actually starts going in single file of blood cells, single file through the capillaries. And blood is made up of blood cells, red blood cells, hemoglobin, that have hemoglobin, red blood cells, lymphocytes, and plasma. Plasma is the fluid that the blood cells, it's the carrier fluid. So as the blood circulates from the arteries and returns into the veins, some of the plasma gets squeezed out of the circulatory system. And there's 20 liters of blood in your circulatory system. It's a closed system. So if you were able to, which you're not, but if you were able to separate the circulatory system as a whole, all the blood in your body would be contained in it, except for about 3 liters of plasma, which gets squeezed out, and then becomes interstitial fluid. Interstitial fluid is the fluid that hydrates our tissues. So that's an important thing to know. Interstitial fluid can build up if you sit in one spot, or who's walked all day, had their arms swinging by their sides, and held up their hands were all bloated and puffy. So that's the interstitial fluid kind of collecting in the tissues because you're constantly doing this. So the circulatory system, we have the heart. It's a closed system. The heart pumps. What is that doing? It's moving the fluid all throughout our body in a closed system. So does blood just pool in our body and like our left leg or in our hands? It's not the blood. It is the lymph tissue. It's the interstitial tissue and the lymph tissue. The lymphatic system is an open system. So it's a one-way street, and it's collecting this. The lymphatic system collects all the interstitial fluid, and its job is from the plasma that gets squeezed out in the capillaries, its job is to enrich it with lymphocytes, which are immune cells, and they take out any bacteria or cancer or any invaders, antigens, those are invaders, that could be harmful. So they want to protect your body. So the lymphatic system is your primary system of immunity. So the lymphatic system, unlike the circulatory system, it is a passive system. So this is an active system because it has a heart. The lymphatic system is a passive system. It has no pumping mechanism. So For the sake of our lymphatic system, I want everyone to stand up. And it's also good for you anyway. Reach up and stretch. Stretch really, really high. And squeeze your muscles into your bone. Tight fists. Hug your muscles in your bone. And then twist to the left. And twist to the right. Hug one knee to the chest. If you can. Hug the other knee to the chest. And shake off. And sit down. Why did we do that? What?
Get the lymph going.
That's right. So when we are active, when we contract our muscles, when we twist, we are pushing the interstitial fluid into the lymph collectors, the little lymphatic vessels that are a one-way street back into the circulatory system. And along the way, they have all these little dots. Does anyone have an idea what the little dots are called? They are. Who's had the flu before? Or a flu, or a bad cold, or infection? Yeah. And what does the doctor feel for? Swelling here. Have you ever had swelling anywhere else other than your throat? So there are places where you have a high concentration of lymph nodes. Anywhere the body's going to come in contact with foreign invaders, we have a high concentration of lymph nodes. Because the lymph nodes are lymphatic tissue that are particularly rich in lymphocytes, and they're kind of holding stations. So the lymphatic tissue carries the lymph, which is plasma that has entered into the lymphatic system. So that's what lymph is. So it carries the lymph system is a one-way street, and along it has little gates that kind of mediate it. The lymph can't go back. Once it's in the system, it can only go one way. And that's forward, back to the brachiocephalic veins, where it re-enters the blood system, the circulatory system. So these nodes are little stations of really lymphocyte-rich tissue. And the job is to clean up that lymphatic system that's collected fluids from the interstitial fluids, what might potentially have cancerous or bacterial cells, and just destroy those right then and there. So if you've had a cold and you notice you've got your lymph nodes are swollen, that's because they're beefed up, they're working hard, they're trying to protect your body the best they can. So you have them in your armpits in high concentration, and in your groin, you have them dotted throughout your arms and legs. So this is kind of a check station at your armpits and groins of anything, because our arms and legs are particularly valuable. They're particularly vulnerable, rather. It's how we interact with the world. So we could step on something, and if it got up through that lymphatic system all the way up here, these are real guard gates. Another place we have a lot of lymphatic tissue is in the chest, where we have a lot of oxygen exchange here. And anybody who's ever caught a cold knows that our head and chest is where we're very particularly vulnerable to viruses and bacteria. And then we have a tremendous amount of lymphatic tissue in our gut. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about just for a moment. So for a review, the twisting helps to return the interstitial fluid that is leaked from the plasma and the capillaries of the circulatory system. So the lymphatic vessels carry that fluid back to the heart or back to the circulatory system. And in the process, they clean it up. They make sure that it's free of antigens and full of immune cells. And movement is how we get our lymphatic system to activate. So if you're really sluggish, how is that going to affect your immunity? If you are a couch potato and you don't get up and jog, if you don't go to a yoga class, and there's a reason we feel so much brighter and healthier after we exercise. It's because we've really engaged and moved that lymph and let it detoxify and squeeze from our tissues. So that is our lymphatic system. There's 2 other associated organs with the lymphatic system. By the way, you have 400 to 500 lymph nodes in your body. So there are a lot of these little guys. And they're, one of the main things that we need to understand is the spleen is part of the lymphatic system. The spleen, most of us know, cleans up the blood cells. It helps eliminate the old blood cells, breaks them down into the fibrogen and the other. It cleans up the old blood cells that are going through apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. So they're supposed to die, and the spleen cleans that up through what's called red pulp. Inside the spleen, there's also white pulp, which is kind of a birthing ground for all of our immune cells. But they don't go straight into the lymphatic system. They go to the thymus. So everybody put their hand in the middle of their chest. This is your sternum. Underneath your sternum, mediastinum, which is this area from here to here, underneath your sternum is the thymus gland. And what that does is it helps, it's kind of like a little incubator, it helps to mature your immune cells. So it's really important and interacts with the lymphatic system. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Lymphatic system. Let me see. So who can tell me how the lymphatic system is similar to the circulatory system? One way it would be similar.
It's moving all over the body.
It's a system of vessels that's all over the body, and it carries fluid that's very similar to plasma. It's now, the plasma that's leaked from the circulatory system is now getting put back into the lymphatic system as lymph. Very good. What is one of the ways that the lymphatic system is different from the circulatory system? Very good. The circulatory system is active, meaning it has a pump, and it's going to keep moving on its own. You can sit down and not worry, oh, did my heart beat in the past few minutes? It'd be kind of bad if it didn't. But the lymphatic system is a passive system. So if we're not moving, if we're not contracting our muscles, if we're not twisting, we are not moving our lymph around, and it's not as healthy for us. So that was one of my questions. Can anyone name one of the structures of the lymphatic system that I mentioned?
Thymus.
The thymus. Very good. Do you know what the thymus does?
And it helps to make sure.
It helps. Very good. It's an immune cell nursery. Very good. Anybody else want to name a structure?
Spleen.
Spleen. What does the spleen do?
Cleans.
It does clean up the blood cells, and it helps to take out the old red blood cells. But what does it do for the lymphatic system? It has white pulp. And the white pulp is the birthing ground of our immune cells. So they're also made in the red bone marrow. But the white pulp is where we get a lot of our lymphocytes. So the other question was, we have one more structure of the lymphatic system I wanted someone that I mentioned. We have 400 to 500 of them. Did you say that? The lymph nodes, very good. And do you remember what the lymph nodes do? They do. They're kind of like, they're like little jail cells. They are. So the lymph system is a one-way street, and along the road are little like jail cells where the lymphocytes will attack antigens that are swept into the lymph nodes, so that they don't go on and contaminate the rest of the body. So it's like helps clean up your body. So you did an excellent job, guys. The lymphatic system, how is it different from the circulatory system? Did I already ask that?
Yes.
Okay. So we have passive and active, and there's one other way.
Closed.
Closed and open, very good. The circulatory system is a closed system. It's an active system. We have a heart that pumps it. the lymphatic system is an open system, it's a one-way street, and it requires participation on our part for maintenance. So now we're going to talk about how the lymphatic system relates to your gut and why probiotics are so very important. So in your gut, you have an awful lot of lymph nodes, but not only do you have lymph nodes, you have what's called a GALT, and it is known as GALT. It's gut-associated lymphatic tissue. And so it kind of runs, here's the lumen of your gut. If I drew it, and let's say this is your gut. And this would be your gall. So it's lymphatic tissue that surrounds your gut. And when your gut is inflamed, when you are eating foods that are irritating, your immune system's getting activated, it's going to puff up this gut-associated lymphatic tissue. It's going to swell up the lymph. And it's going to make your gut feel really bloated, really hard, and very uncomfortable because it's the system of inflammation. So it's protecting you. It's trying, look, you've got some bad stuff in there. I don't want it to go to the rest of your body. I'm going to insulate your body from this. So how does that affect our digestion? Well, it narrows the lumen. The lumen is the hole, and that makes it harder to pass things. It's very uncomfortable for us. It makes us have that, you've seen people with that distended, hard belly, and they're like, no, I go every day, like a clock, but they still have that big distended belly. You know, that can't be healthy. It's not. It's not. So, this was me. I had that big distended belly, and I've actually had people ask me if I was pregnant before because it would be so distended, and it's like, no, I'm just really inflamed as part of the inflammation process. So one of the things that I needed to do was learn what was causing this immune reaction in my gut, and I wound up getting food testing. It turned out food particles, proteins from the food were going through my hyperpermeable gut. So your gut is not supposed to be very permeable. It's really, your gut needs to absorb fatty acids and some proteins so that you can do tissue repair and maintenance, make new cells. And that's the role of the gut, is to absorb the nutrition in the food. But there are proteins that it's not supposed to be hyperpermeable. So it's supposed to protect us from most of the stuff that gets passed out as waste. When you are in a state of chronic inflammation, your gut becomes hyperpermeable, and proteins can pass into the blood system and activate your gut and give you this big distension. So I found out I had a lot of food allergies, and by eliminating all the foods that I was allergic to, which was, oh my word. So I'm allergic to pineapples and rice and almonds. And every day I was doing my body salad. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be healthy. I'm gonna make pineapple and spinach smoothies with almond milk in the morning, and I'm gonna have rice and beans and veggies for lunch. And I was distended, miserable, not losing weight, not being healthy, not feeling vital. And then I had all these allergies tested. And it was almost everything I was eating was on my list of the no-nos.
But did you feel bad?
Not immediately. I mean, I would get headaches, and yes, I did feel bad. You'd see me running around here and working all day. That was not possible in those days. I was doing all the right things that you should be doing, but I wasn't reaping any of the benefits. And because I've been doing this so long, I didn't know exactly what I was doing wrong. So I didn't drink, smoke. I was trying to exercise, but I had no energy. So it was really frustrating. So I wound up getting this.
How did you find that you were allergic to almond?
I had a physician, my gastroenterologist, took a blood test and did an antigen test. What foods has my body developed antigens towards? that is activating my gut associated lymphatic tissue. So after, and oh, I cried. I cried because I'm reading down the list every day. Pineapple was one of my very favorite foods, top of the list. Rice, bananas, top of the list. I had oatmeal every day because I was doing my bonding. Oatmeal, top of the list. It was just everything I was doing. It was ridiculous, and it's because I ate it so regularly. They believe that that's what caused it, which talks about food rotation. Don't eat the same foods every day, especially if you're going through an inflammation process. Switch it up a lot, else you might wind up like that. So, by eliminating Grace was with me after about a week after I got my results. She was in Orlando. She came to visit me at the house. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. Look at this, 27 items. I can't eat anymore. By the way, my diet is based on these 27 items. What am I going to eat? So we learned about chia gel and flax seeds, and we learned about amaranth and quinoa. And we started to think, well, I'm not allergic to this, so we started to build meal plans around what I could eat. And within a few months, it's when I had that, oh my God, I've been let out of jail feeling. I was running around like a crazy person because I had the energy to exercise, I had the energy to be me again. And it was wonderful. The inflammation in my body went down. This big distended belly that I had went away, and my body started processing the lymph naturally. So it was a big deal. So to keep the gut really, really healthy and away from inflammation, we have naturally occurring bacteria. By the way, who here is a human being? Anybody here a human being? You think so? Would you say you're more human than bacteria or more bacteria than human? Oh, you are so educated. You guys know this trick. Oh, you guys are more bacteria, like 10 to 1. You guys have actually a lot higher than that. You guys have a lot more bacteria. You are a community of organisms that have conspired to be a person. You are not just human, because without our bacteria, we would not be alive. Our bacteria is what helps protect our skin. It helps protect our digestion. It helps to break down the cellulose in the foods that we eat. If we don't have healthy probiotics in our gut, the cellulose that we eat and the sugars that we eat will ferment in our gut and cause bloating and gas and distension and pain. So when that happens, we get very uncomfortable and unhappy, and we take all kinds of medications. So to stay off those medications, you want to make sure that you're getting probiotics. Now you can get probiotics in a bottle. I'm going to show you a bottle of probiotics, and I'm going to pass it around. So if you are not eating fermented foods and getting probiotics naturally, then I recommend that you take these. This is a particularly good brand, and it has a variety of healthy bacteria. So some of the bacteria in our gut is really good for us, and some of it's not good for us. The good news is if you have a healthy community of bacteria, of what they call probiotics, good bacteria, they will automatically suppress the bad bacteria. So if you are a good host to your bacteria, you'll take good care of your good bacteria. In return, your good bacteria will take care of you. If you're not a good host, the bad bacteria will beat up the good bacteria, and you will have more inflammation and more problems. So yogurt is a great source of probiotics, but it's dairy, and some of us are vegan and have learned other things about why we wouldn't want to eat dairy. So what are other foods that are really high in probiotics? Fermented food. And Michael Pollan writes books on, who's read Cooked or anything by Michael Pollan? Oh, so good. So he talks about cultures and their stinky foods. And each culture can be identified by their stinky foods, because my stinky food that I like is not going to be the same stinky food that someone from another culture likes. So my stinky food will repulse someone from another country, like the French and their amazing cheeses. And when the Germans marched through France, they thought there was dead bodies in Cambridge. Anyone know why? It's the cheese. It's the funkiest smelling stuff in the world, but French love it.
And it tastes very good.
It tastes wonderful. Yes, it does. So that's our stinky foods. And anybody else knows some other stinky foods? Kimchi, fish sauce, and a German stinky food? Sauerkraut. And it's the easiest thing in the world to make. And guess what I've done?
Made sauerkraut.
I've made sauerkraut. We will probably be sampling this in a few days. So we have spicy sauerkraut with carrots. So how do you make sauerkraut? You add some cabbage. Do you add water? You don't add water. You add salt. And you know how Grace shows you how to massage kale?
I didn't get to it today. I'll do that.
Oh, so Grace will show you how to massage kale. But when you massage the cabbage with enough salt on it, it breaks the cells and it releases all this liquid. So you want to keep massaging the cabbage and the carrots until it's really soaking wet, and you lift it up and it's wilty, and you just see this bowl of brine. And you didn't add any water to it. It's automatically wet and wilty. Then you take it all, you put it in the jar, you pack it down, and you have to make sure it has room for the gas, because as it ferments, it's going to release carbon dioxide. So we have this, and this is a experiment of cilantro and cabbage. So we'll see how this one comes out. The cilantro has a lot of saponins in it, so it's really interesting to see it. When I was massaging it, it was bubbling up, so it was really interesting to see that. So we'll have this in a few days when it's fully matured. So this is a great way to add probiotics into your diet to help your gut and reduce inflammation. And cabbage particularly is very appealing for the gut wall. It's one of the anti-cancer foods. So adding cabbage into your diet, and the fermentation helps break down the cellulose, so it makes it much more digestible. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about, remember we talked about the lymphatic system being a passive system? So there's one more thing. And Andrew, would you do me the favor and just pour a little bit of massage oil into everybody's palm? So let me do a little bit to mine. So this is a blend of oils. It has peppermint oil, lavender oil, almond oil, and olive oil, which are really amazing oils for your skin. So you want to get your hands nice and oily when you get your oil. Then I want you to give yourself a great self-massage. And in yoga, this is called Abhyanga. It's actually Ayurvedic, the practice of Abhyanga is we oil our skin. We oil our skin to feed the microbes that live on our skin, which are part of our salt. Anybody guess what salt is? If GALT is gut-associated lymphatic tissue, what skin-associated lymphatic tissue? So we feed the microbes that live on our skin, and we always massage towards the heart. So we massage ourselves, nourish our skin, and in doing so, we are pushing the lymph from our extremities up towards where the lymphatic system drains into the brachiocephalic veins. So when I massage my legs, what direction am I going to massage? Up. Up. So always towards the body. So
Can you repeat what it contains?
yes. This contains, the carrier oils is a combination of almond oil and olive oil. The essential oils is lavender and peppermint. So, And yay, lavender is a natural bug repellent. So, bug repellent. It's also anti-inflammatory and soothing to your nervous system.
How many drops of the essential oils do you guys
I did this very quickly, so I did not count. I have I'd say, don't go over 10 of each, or 10 to 20 of each. You will be learning more about the proper use and application of essential oils from Beth, so I don't want to give away her gig. So that's her bailiwick. I, however, do make natural soaps and lotions, and they're my primary. I make a lot of lavender stuff, so my natural soaps and lotions. This is why you want to use natural soaps and lotions, by the way. Your skin is your #1 system of absorption. Your skin and your gut. So if you wouldn't eat it, you shouldn't put it on your skin, because you are absorbing. A lot of the products that you see on the shelves that read your labels. And if you can't, mine do not contain, so they're made by batch. I recommend you use the batch within a month, because there are no preservatives, there are no stabilizers, there is no alcohol. There are essential oils that will suppress any bacterial or fungal growth in them, but that's it. The stabilizer I use is vitamin E, which extends the shelf life of every oil it comes in contact with. So my lotions, it has a Facebook page, so it's Wild Flowers Soaps, and that I sell both soaps and natural lotions, and I always post when I've made a batch of something really cool and yummy, and then you contact me and say, I want some, and then I tell you how to get it.
This is a website?
No, this is on Facebook.
Okay.
So the ashram actually carries my products in the boutique, but they sell out within 3 days every time I bring them. So they're really popular. Yay! But boo, I don't have any here left, so you can't get any. But
Just in terms of the products that we do, so are they all
I would. So the girls in the boutique know more about what they carry. I kind of just go in there for an apple every day. I don't look at the other products. I actually probably should know if I'm competing with somebody, but I'm just happy that I get to bring my products here and introduce them to more people. And it's not so much as this is not a sales pitch, because I don't want my company to get really big. I want it to be a project company where I get to make batches and I get to be involved and pray over myself and bless you by making stuff that's really high quality and very well controlled. If I get too big, then it becomes unmanageable. So this is not a plug to use my products. It is to tell you to do Abhyanga with, if you cannot get a natural product, use oil. Buy olive oil, buy almond oil, buy avocado oil. Oh my God, is that good for you? It helps your body replenish its collagen. Avocado oil is one of my top recommended oils for mature skin.
What's sesame?
I'm not a sesame fan because I'm highly allergic, but other people, if you like sesame, go for it.
What about coconut?
Coconut oil is wonderful. Coconut, when I use it in products, it's great for making a thickening oil. It's well absorbed. Coconut oil is not my favorite oil to use on the skin. My favorite oils are kukui nut oil, argan oil, kukui nut oil. It's from the Hawaiian Islands, Polynesian Islands.
How do you spell it?
Kakui nut. So kukui nut oil is very, very good for mature skin. Apricot and peach seed oil is very good and wonderful for mature skin. And avocado oil.
Sorry, the first one I got hooked up on.
Kukui.
Kukui and
Can you write it? Please.
avocado would be one of my very favorites for mature skin. And above them all, the king of all oils is argan oil.
Why?
Because it is the most permeable. It sinks deepest into the dermal layers and nourishes your skin the best. So a lot of the heavier oils will sit on top of your skin and not penetrate into the layers of your skin. And argan oil is really well absorbed.
So what do you?
So you put the oil directly on the skin?
Yeah, you just like we did today. You add your essential oils to the oils. You don't. Lotions, by the way, are so easy to make. YouTube it. They're wonderful and fun to make. There's a website called soapcalc.net. There's a book on how to make your soapcalc.net. So soapcalc.net is a soap calculator. It helps you figure out all the right fatty acids to balance and make a really great soap. And you can order a book on there about soap making, and it also has all the recipes for lotions and soaps and tells you all about what oils to use for what. It's amazing. Even it goes in depth into essential oils and what oils have what fatty acids and what proportions. So, are there any other questions?
What about oil pulling from your mouth?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So coconut oil.
Coconut oil is what I use for oil pulling. And because the tartar in your mouth, the plaque that builds up on your teeth, it actually really does, the oil pulling really cleans it and dissolves it where it's not water soluble, but it is oil soluble. So when you oil pull, you're swishing, you're taking a tablespoon of coconut oil in your mouth and you're letting it dissolve, and then you're just going for like 10 minutes. And when you spit it out, it's yicky. And you're going, oh my God, I just brushed my teeth. How is that all still in my teeth? How did that? And it's amazing. And my sister did it for a year, and she had periodontal disease. And it really made a huge difference for her. So if that's a thing for you, do it.
Was it coconut oil?
I use coconut oil. And that's
To chew it and dissolve it.
Yeah, there's 96-degree coconut oil and there's 76-degree coconut, 92 and 76, yeah. So depending on the heat of this coconut oil, they'll both dissolve in your mouth because your mouth is 98.6. But different coconut oils have different melting points. So if it's liquid at room temperature, it's probably the 76-degree coconut oil, which is perfectly fine. Good stuff. You had a question?
2 questions. How long does it take for the sauerkraut to actually ferment? What is the length of time?
So that's a really good question. I have read all about the art of fermenting sauerkraut, but because of, I live in Florida and I'm sensitive to the smells, and I live in a warm environment like we do here. So I believe it's much accelerated in a warm environment. The person who wrote the book lived in a cold environment. So he really gave his times based on the cold environment. So we will see, we'll be testing it in a few days and see how it goes. The neat thing is as the probiotics kick up, they produce an acid. So you've tasted sauerkraut, it tastes like it has a little vinegar around it. So it produces acid, and that acid environment kills all the unfriendly bacteria. So it's this natural process. It cooks the cabbage in its own fermented acid, and it protects the cabbage from any unhappy, unfriendly bacteria. So, yeah.
You know the coconut oil, when I bought it, it's white and firm.
Right.
Okay. I wanted to put it on my butcher block, so I took some of it and to have it a bit more leaky. I did put it in a bottle in the hot water. Then it was leaky. But then the day after it was still firm and white.
Your cabbage?
No,
Oh, your coconut oil.
Yeah.
So it changes, if
So
you're,
it doesn't stay liquid.
no. At the minute it goes, it reaches 76 degrees, it's like magic. Solid, boom, liquid. The minute it goes below 76 degrees, boom, solid.
Okay.
So if you've ever, it's a lot like butter. It's liquid. It
So I
turns.
didn't put it on the butcher block, otherwise it would have been like wax, you know? If it's dry or.
So if you're using it for personal hygiene, I take a scoop of solid coconut oil, put it in my mouth. My mouth naturally melts it. Takes a minute. If I use it, it's actually very easy to use for your skin. You just take a solid. It's like, and you massage it in your hand a little bit, and then you rub it on your skin. It's not my favorite oil for skin, but if you are traveling and the only thing you have with you is coconut oil, it's great for traveling because it's very compact. Don't go buying lotions. Please don't go buy Procter & Gamble and other associated companies are really lobbying against the craft artisan soap and lotion makers. So we know we're about to get a whole bunch of regulations. So if you put me out of business, use your own oils. Go learn about oils, learn about why they're good for your skin, but don't put chemicals on your skin. Can you mix something with the coconut so it doesn't?
When it's in its liquid state,
Can you mix another oil with it so that it doesn't keep going?
yes, that's what we did. You can it. I've not tried that, and I believe 90% of the time it will separate and form a hard thing on top. Oils have different weights, so if it's the same weight, it might do it, but I don't think so. You can get fractionated coconut oil, which is liquid, period, and it's very, very lightweight.
I know a lot of women who use makeup remover.
Yeah,
Coconut oil, it's like the best.
it really is.
And in your hair.
Yep, liquid, near here.
Just so you use it in your hair
As
for a little bit.
instead of conditioner.
And then instead of
So-
conditioner, you just put it on.
Here's what
It's just
cosmetic
soaps
people
that
don't
you
want
use.
you to know is, lotions. When you buy them, like liquid form of lotion, what makes them white, and the only thing different from lotion to oil is we add a emulsifying wax, which binds to the water, binds the fat molecule to the water molecule, and that makes lotion. So you're taking something that your skin does need, which is the fatty acid. You're adding wax, which it doesn't necessarily need, and water, which is, why am I going to buy more water? I can just oil myself after I get out of the shower, and then my skin's nice and hydrated, and I'm supposed to be doing the Avianda to activate my lymph. So why am I going to buy lotions? Now, if you do buy something, buy body butters, because they're easier to travel with, but lotions, they're just all water.
Lotions too, they use animal fat too, right?
Some of them do. So stearic acid, there's a reason why it is present in some nut oils, like
No, in the traditional oil.
so steers, whole steers. So be aware of where your oils are coming from, because they will break it down. They won't always say this is from this oil, this is from that oil, this is from lard, this is from pig fat. They'll just call it stearic acid, and stearic acid has several sources. It is found in lard, but it's also found in palm oil, which is why it's called vegetable lard. But palm oil is a big problem. Now I've stopped buying it. I'm using the stuff that I had already ordered, but now I found out that palm oil is a huge environmental issue. And because they're doing the slash and burn, their companies are invading nature preserves and growing palms because there's such a high demand for these palm oils now, because it's used in all cosmetics, food processing. Look at your packages. Palm oil is in everything, and if it's not ethically grown, it's really killing. The techniques they're doing is killing the orangutans.
Yeah, that's what I'm very
So those of us who are here at NASHM are here because we are environmentally conscious, more enlightened people.
You are here for a reason, so I'm singing to the choir here.
Do you do your own sunscreen lotion?
Zinc powder
Zinc powder?
and titanium. So you take your oils or your butters and you mix them, you add titanium powder to them, and that reflects the UV rays.
And you can put in argan oil or
You can add, be careful, and Beth should talk about this one day this week. Be careful with your essential oils and sun. Certain essential oils, especially citrus oils, are photosensitive, so they will irritate your skin in the sun.
not the one you gave us. Lavender and
Peppermint. Very safe topical oil.
So you put a zinc oxide in powder in the oil and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, what's your garlic?
What? Well, I put zinc or titanium powder in a body butter when I make it. I've never actually just shook it up. I don't think it would mix very well if it's not emulsified with wax and water in a heavy body butter. But so I've never tried it with just oil, but you could always try it. Try it with coconut oil.
I'm sorry, back to the sauerkraut, but now what type of salt do you use?
So Grace really is an advocate of the Himalayan salt. She likes it. It's better energetically. It's better. It has minerals still in it. Sea salt is also a good option. So yeah,
Argan oil, where's that come from?
argan oil is also known as Moroccan oil, and it comes from the argan nut from probably Morocco.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Also, I think lavender and peppermint. If you put that in your oil, is it good antibacterial?
Yeah. Lavender is an antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal,
Okay.
anti-inflammatory. It's just really good stuff.
Right.
All around really good stuff.
Yeah.
My daughter's boyfriend's mother passed away last year. She spent some time in a hospice, and I had read a study where they had taken hospice patients and given them massages with lavender lotions, and that it lowered their stress and their fear of death and helped them pass more peacefully. And it was a scientific study. So I read this and I was moved, and knowing that she was going through that, I provided my daughter with these lotions to help her pass. So, yeah, it's good stuff.
The only thing is lavender oil, I don't know if anybody has heard this, but I guess I was using it at one point, and then I heard it can like increase male hormones, if it's somehow connected to increasing like so I actually was using it with my dad, but then he had a prostate issue, so then when I heard that, like I stopped
I have not
using
heard
it.
that, and I would ask Beth about that. So I would.
And then I actually stopped using it, me too.
So
and
what
then
was the source that you've heard that
Oh
from?
gosh, it's so long ago, it's like just, all I know is what.
Okay, so I
There's a
will look
source,
that up
but,
and
like,
make sure that Beth addresses that, because that's really important. So,
If you make let's say 8 ounces, how long does it last? To make the solar protection?
the
30 days?
If you make it, you guys just
So the protection of the lavender oil lasts as long as the lavender oil is in it. The protection of lavender oil doesn't just go away. But being that these are products that don't have any bacterial stabilizers, you just want to use, and oils go rancid. Do not use, so if you have had peanut oil or sunflower oil or cooking oil sitting on your shelf for a year, and every once in a while you make a salad dressing with it, please throw it away. It is rancid and going to cause inflammation, and it's just not good for you. So most oils have a 6 month to 1 year shelf life, unless you have an extender on them. So if you add vitamin E to them or certain other oils that have a really long shelf life, if you blend them with other oils, it prolongs the shelf life. But for the most part, do not use oils after 6 months to a year. and keep your oils in a cool, dark place. Another amazing oil resource is standing right behind us. And this is, has everybody met Lolita from the Wellbeing Center? She is our Ayurveda guru, and yeah, it's very intimidating speaking in her presence.
Everybody feels that way.
Because we honor your knowledge. You have a wealth of information, and it's